everybody. Welcome to the IncGamers Podcast. I'm Peter Parrish. I'm joined by other podcast people. They are Tim McDonald. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Boisterous and full of life. Paul Younger, hello.
Hello.
Yes, I'm talking to you while you're drinking. It's a well-known tactic of mine. It makes for good podcasts. Podcasting. You know what? First, I'm gonna say hello to our loyal listeners. This is something I mentioned at the end of the last podcast, but I'm going to mention it again at the top of this one, which is, if you like our stuff and listen to this and are a dedicated IncGamers person and you're kind of on forums and stuff and you see those regular threads about reviews and our stuff isn't there, which it sometimes isn't, feel free to be like, hey, I read this review and it was quite good. Don't spam it everywhere, obviously, that would be shit. But, if there's somewhere relevant that you think it should be, then help us out, because that's how we get people to read stuff. And then we get more terrible comments as well, but,
As an alternative, you don't just, if you don't fancy going on forums and posting links to reviews, then you could just give us some money.
Yeah, if you want to take the direct route, yeah, let's do that. Just send us like 50 quid, that'll probably do the job.
That also...
Yeah, absolutely. It probably helps more, actually, to be honest. But yeah, I trust you all to be sensible with this and not just whore out links everywhere and get banned and stuff from places. That would be bad. But you know what I mean with all that. Let's talk about news. The Witcher 3 has been delayed, everybody. It was going to be out at the end of, or towards the end of this year, and now it's not. It's going to be out in February 2015. And all we have to go on from this really is CD Projekt saying, hey, we felt like we could ship the game at the time we said, but we thought we'd take a few more months to make it nicer. And I guess we should probably take them at their word on that. That's seems like a good idea overall, if they're telling the truth.
So does that mean that it's going to be coming out the same year as Cyberpunk 2077, or
no,
could we expect that to be delayed as well?
Yeah, that'll be delayed as well. No doubt about it.
You probably, unless they have enough of a separate team that one's coming out like the end of 2015, and there's enough of a gap. You might be onto something there. That Cyberpunk might be getting the nudge as well at a later date.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they actually dated Cyberpunk, but they basically, I think they hinted that they were sort of aiming it towards the end of 2015.
Yeah, I remember them announcing it and then it being revealed it wasn't going to be here for like 3 years and going, oh, well, I guess I'll forget about that for a while then. Because really, there's quite a lot of stuff going to be happening in between those two dates. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of sad if you were hoping to see Witcher 3 this year, but there is kind of a proliferation of RPGs this year, so we won't be short of those. I'm wondering if BioWare are kind of rubbing their hands with, less competition with Dragon Age Inquisition, possibly, if that's going to come out at the end of this year. Unless that's going to be delayed too, in which case they'll be in the same situation. Hey-ho. And anything to add on that, anyone? I guess there's not much to go on.
Delayed.
BioWare probably don't care, because I would imagine that Dragon Age is going to sell bucketloads anyway, despite the continual people going, oh, Dragon Age 2 was rubbish and Mass Effect 3 was rubbish, I'm not going to buy the next game. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, they probably are, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Do you remember the Left 4 Dead 2 boycotts when everyone was going on about how it should have just been a free patch for Left 4 Dead? There was this big boycott group, and then about an hour after Left 4 Dead 2 launched, if you checked the group, I think about 70% of the users were playing Left 4 Dead 2.
I never really understood that one. Left 4 Dead 2 always seemed fairly substantial, and similar to the first game in that it was a sequel, obviously. But there we go. I didn't really get that.
The lesson to take from that is because Valve, as I recall, they kind of released like a free campaign for Left 4 Dead 1 and stuff like that. Is don't give users free stuff, or they'll complain when you actually try to charge them for something.
Yeah.
Just charge them for everything. People like that.
Well, do they? Maybe they do. some controversial views coming out from you. You'd be quite antagonistic, Tim. I can see it now. People are going to be saying, "Oh, you're very anti-consumer." Tim McDonald on the side of the publishers, say.
No, I'm mostly against absolutely everybody.
Oh, you hate the publishers and the public. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fine. GTA 5, that's definitely coming out in June because the Portuguese say so, and I have no reason to disbelieve them.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like GTA 5 does like Tim feels towards Star Citizen.
That it's not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, GTA 5 at least exists in one form, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's not a thing.
Whereas Star Citizen basically just exists in the heads of everyone who's paid for it.
Yeah.
It's dragging out a bit, this whole GTA 5 thing, isn't it? I've got a theory. Do you think that they're going to wait? Well, actually, that doesn't work anymore. I used to think they were going to wait until Watch Dogs had a definite date and then be complete dicks to Ubisoft by releasing GTA 5 basically at the same time as Watch Dogs, which they could do now because they have a date for that. But no, still no actual date. We're just going by retailer newsletters in foreign languages saying that the PC version is going to be out in June.
Maybe they're only releasing it in Portugal.
It's possible.
Maybe
You're not going to get it anywhere else. We've all got to move to Portugal.
Is the main character now going to be Cristiano Ronaldo instead of what are they called? Michael and Trevor.
He wouldn't get very far. He'd just be diving all over the place.
Oh, it's a new. Can you dive in GTA 5, Tim?
You actually can, from what I can remember. It was some weird combination of buttons, but you can make your person basically just go head first. It was great.
There you go. It's perfect. Just do a reskin.
I'm still not overly surprised we haven't heard anything. I mean, I sincerely doubt that the PC version is going to be sort of hugely upgraded with loads of new missions. I don't think it's going to be sort of the ultimate version that you see of lots of other games. Although if the rumours that they're also doing a PS4 and Xbone version, it is plausible, I suppose, but I kind of doubt it. So I sort of don't think we'll even really see it announced until sort of like a month before release, just to let people get pre-orders in. I don't think this is going to be one where it's announced ages earlier and there's going to be loads of press hype beforehand.
What's up with all these retailers then going, oh yeah, you can totally pre-order a PlayStation 4 version from us? That's a bit dodgy, isn't it, if they're doing that? That was a shrug for people listening on the audio version.
Totally. Fuck the retailers as well. Hate those guys.
Excellent. Good. Making a lot of friends throughout this podcast. It's good to see. Yeah, well, in a sort of related note, I suppose, Dark Souls 2, we now have a definitive release date for the PC version, which is the 25th of April, and we've got system specs for it, which aren't particularly demanding. And we now have a sort of a lighting conundrum as well, because the lighting in the console versions differs quite substantially from that shown in demos, and also that was present, I think, in the PlayStation 3 beta version. They made a big thing of this whole like torch mechanic. It was going to be a bit like Tomb of the Giants in the first game. You're going to have a trade-off between carrying a shield and carrying a torch to light up these dark areas.
Carrying a shield and not being able to see.
Yes, that's a good trade-off. You know, you might want to do that if you're an idiot.
This sounds much like the problem we had with Doom 3. Is there no duct tape in kind of medieval fantasy worlds? Can't you just like sellotape a torch to your sword? And then you do extra fire damage as well. No, can't do any of those things. So anyway, this lighting has changed, and I've seen comparison shots and stuff. And it is a bit of a downgrade, which makes these sort of torch-heavy areas a bit different. Like that gameplay mechanic is sort of not really as relevant anymore. And obviously, people are now thinking, "Oh, well, is the PC one? Is that going to still have all that torch stuff in it?" Probably not. I'm gonna guess probably not. It's just gonna be like the console ones, but with better resolutions and stuff. But you never know. Because wasn't the PC version the lead platform? Because presumably everything we saw of the game beforehand was the PC version, if they were telling the truth about that.
Well, occasionally, you see, they said it was the PS3 version, and people who played like demos at trade shows and stuff said it was running off PS3s. Tim, did you play the beta at all? It's out now.
Am I allowed to talk about that now that the game is out?
I would think so, yes. And if you did it have these sort of dark areas? I don't know if you've seen any comparison shots at all.
There was... Oh, I hope I don't get sued for this. There was...
It's out now.
There were a couple of insanely fucking dark areas in the beta, but I couldn't actually find the torch. There was one section where it's like... it was a cave, and there was like this really narrow thing that you had to walk along, and you couldn't see it. So the first time I just rocked on in there and fell to my death instantly. The second, yeah, exactly. The second one was just this big building, and it was pitch black inside. There were archers in there shooting at me. It took me a while to work out that I could actually sort of smash out the boards on the windows to illuminate the interior.
Cunning.
It actually to be quite useful. Yeah, so there certainly were dark areas where light did have a rather major impact, yes.
Yeah, it's sort of stuff like that where it seems like it's either not present or not as present, and it's a bit weird. Like, it kind of got removed at the last minute, maybe because the consoles couldn't handle it or something, but I mean...
Possibly, but I mean, you've got to bear in mind the game's only been out sort of 24 hours, so people will only have finished it 3, maybe 4 times so far. maybe these things only turn up on New Game Plus 6.
It's possible, yes, but unlikely. Unlikely. It's just a bit weird. It's a bit weird, this whole... Did it have any frame rate issues in the beta that you saw? Because maybe it got taken out for... I mean, if you remember from that beta that you definitely played for any while, I think.
It was quite a while ago that I played for like 2 hours one night several months ago.
Yeah, you know.
I don't remember it being particularly bad in frame rate terms. I mean, it wasn't sort of super silky smooth 60 frames a second.
Yeah.
I mean, it was certainly comparable to, in general, the first game. I didn't notice any.
Minus Blighttown, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't notice any major drops, but again, I was only going for one fairly small area that may have been in the full game or may have just been a test area. I don't know.
Well, we'll wait and see.
No, we won't wait. We won't wait and see because you'll be playing it. Because I believe you've ordered a peasant copy.
Well, it's now. You see, it's good because I'll be able to do a good comparative.
Yeah, you got some sort of dodgy twist there.
The thing is, though, Paul, we are going to have to wait and see because when Peter gets the console version, that isn't going to answer our question as to whether the lighting is in the PC version.
This is true. This is true.
Get out.
But anyway.
Yeah, off you go.
It's I don't know. It's a bit of a shame to see all these like trailers that still have all the good, the well lit stuff in, and they do have a tiny disclaimer at the end of them all saying, images in this trailer may not be representative of the final. It's like, yeah, it's in your fucking launch trailer though, isn't it? It's a bit cheeky doing stuff like that.
I watched that launch trailer and I feel slightly ashamed of this, but I watched it and I thought, this doesn't actually look very good. I don't mean in terms of gameplay, I just mean graphically. I was thinking, wow, that, it doesn't look as nice as sort of the screenshots, the videos and stuff I saw before. I don't know, maybe that was just me. I'm sure I'm going to play it and enjoy it and curl up into a ball when giant spiders inevitably turn up, but I felt a little bad.
Not that Dark Souls is a graphical powerhouse, but it does have good art direction.
Yeah,
good sort of monster design.
So basically, when the PC version comes out, we'll be playing Pac-Man.
Yes.
I think that might have been part of it actually, because it did seem like a few of the shield designs in the trailer seemed a little bit incongruous. Maybe, I mean, the monster design was spot on. Maybe it was just things like that. I'd have to watch it again and listen to more Jethro Tull.
Don't tell me that when it comes out, I'm gonna have to give Dark Souls 2 like a 3 and have people complaining at me because
Peter, you're such a bastard. How can you?
Oh yeah.
Yes. What?
Oh, I can't remember. Paul interrupted. I can't remember what I was going to say. Shit. All right, carry on.
I was going to apologise for killing the Thief series, which is what someone said I did under my review.
You have a lot of power over games, Peter.
I do, yeah. I don't know. I'm just that good, I guess. But
it's that war crimes tyrant coming through.
I remember what I was going to say.
Publishers know I'm going to do bad things to them.
Sorry, this was very much an aside, Peter, but what I want you to do when you play Dark Souls 2, I want you to make note of everywhere giant spiders turn up, just for me.
I'll try.
Thank you.
I'll try. I suspect they're mainly consigned to one sort of zone or area, if it's similar to the first game, or Demon Souls.
Yeah, I mean, Demon Souls just had a giant spider boss, and Dark Souls was kind of the same, I think. But yeah, if you could sort of make note of that for me, and then maybe work out if I can pretty much finish the game without going there, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'll get on that.
Oh, Killing the Thief series, Peter.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone commented that I killed the Thief series because what happens when you give a game a bad review is that publishers get scared off from the series and then will never make one again. I don't know why that's any of my business or my problem. It's not my business to cater to publishers or to keep series alive. And also, if it stops bad reboots of good series, then I kind of don't care, and I'm quite pleased.
I'll be honest with you, I kind of think that they care more about the sales than the Metacritic score. I mean, if it gets a Metacritic score of 3 but sells 50 billion copies, then I'm pretty sure they'll say, let's do a sequel, but let's make it good this time, rather than, ooh, nobody liked it, none of the critics liked it, we only made several billion pounds, let's not do that again.
This is why you don't get PC copies of stuff, usually before the console stuff is shifted out to reviewers. Generally the console stuff turns up first. PC stuff might turn up day of launch.
And then Peter gives it a 3.
Much like Titanfall. I haven't given Titanfall a 3 yet. It's the way it goes with PC copies. They're often treated as a little bit of a afterthought as review-wise, unfortunately. But I guess in a way that means that we get a chance to review stuff a little bit later, which sometimes is a benefit, because then we don't look silly with things like Battlefield 4, because we get to review how the actual game is rather than what some review event version of the game was.
Although, if you recall, that happened with SimCity, which was a PC game.
Yeah, I guess they didn't. I guess that's because it was PC only. It was kind of a different.
Yeah, I think it's more just journalists going, okay, well, it clearly worked in this LAN setup with nobody else playing it, so obviously it's going to be absolutely fine.
Do we know if the Titanfall servers are coping? I haven't seen anything terrible about them, which is interesting.
I managed to log in 15 minutes ago. I was going to start doing training. I mean, once you click play, it sort of connects you to the servers first of all, before you actually choose to join a game, and it got me to that part, so...
That's good. I'm glad that they're managing to work on launch day. That's encouraging. Perhaps they've sort of learned a few things. That would be nice.
Just using all the Battlefield 4 servers. There will be complaints that Battlefield 4's broken again.
I read a really stupid article about Microsoft's cloud server bullshit yesterday that was trying to pretend it was amazingly revolutionary, and I was reading it thinking, yes, this is just a dedicated server. You're just describing a dedicated server here. Why? This isn't new or exciting or revolutionary at all.
So Microsoft are basically doing an Apple, are they? They're taking pre-existing technologies, then marketing them as something new and amazing, and then selling them for lots more money.
And they'll put it in a white box.
Yeah, basically. It also said, thanks to the mystical, magical power of the cloud, that Titanfall would have silky smooth frame rates, which doesn't seem to be the case on the Xbone, going by some of the reviews and footage I've seen.
What does silky smooth frame rates have to do with the cloud?
It means
the processing on the server.
It means the person who wrote the article read a press release and basically copied it into their article without understanding much of what it might mean, I think. And I don't know what it would have to do with the cloud. Probably nothing.
I mean, because there's sort of streamed games and so on. That would make a degree of sense, but that doesn't appear to be what's actually happening here, from what I know.
Unless they reckon it's streaming the textures or something. I don't know. It's all bullshit, man. It's smoke and mirrors. It's complete smoke and fucking mirrors.
I just want to keep a tally, actually. I'll open up a notepad window of how many people we've sort of pissed off with this podcast?
So that's publishers,
Microsoft,
everyone who
publishers,
buys games.
consumers, retailers. Right. So
People
publishers, consumers, retailers, and Microsoft. That's pretty good going for about 15 minutes into a podcast.
And people who really like the new Thief. I think I just come up as well.
Okay, I'll just put that under idiots, shall I?
Oh, God.
Oh no.
No.
I'm kidding, I haven't played it, I have no opinion on it, barring the fact that everything Peter has told me about it makes it sound like a fucking travesty.
This is the best possible podcast we could have done. Follow the thing at the start where I was like, hey guys, if you like it,
Yeah.
try and get more people to read. I take it back, don't make, well, people, they'll just be upset if they read our site and listen to this. So...
when you give a game a bad review, people do get personally offended.
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, it's like everybody's got their own opinion on stuff. It's like, I mean, I don't understand it actually. Why people take such personal offence.
That's kind of what I loved about the comment that was slagging you off, other than the fact that it was a comment that was slagging you off, because that was great.
Obviously, that's very enjoyable.
It's like all of the complaints you mentioned, he then repeated in the comment.
Yeah.
Like, audio glitches and incredibly linear and all the rest of it. And it's like, so what you're arguing about is the arbitrary number at the end, and then you're telling us what that number means on our site. And across the space of 2 different comments, you actually gave 2 entirely different definitions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't get upset if I see a game that I didn't like score highly, or a game that I do like score quite low. I mean, I get upset if I read the review and I think you've come to some bad or incorrect conclusions, but that's a different thing. I don't... If it's a well-reasoned piece that says, Dark Souls isn't that great or isn't for me, and I kind of can see where they're coming from, that's fine.
The question is, are we now in this push for review scores and everything, are we now attracting the Daily Mail reader? Because this is slightly worrying.
I hope not. Why would we be attracting Daily Mail
Because they
readers?
don't read the content, they just go, oh!
Well, that's true. They read the sort of headline, immigrants gonna stab you in your sleep as house prices fall or something, and then get really upset.
Thief's audio is terrible, therefore immigrants are coming from Bosnia.
Were immigrants responsible for Thief's audio?
God. And now we're offending immigrants.
You could probably make a case for that, considering that most studios do pull in employees from all over the world.
And it was probably French-Canadian people who were responsible for it. And what are they doing in Britain, eh? What are they doing? Why have we turned into trying to be the Daily Mail? This isn't a good thing. It's not.
This is
racist and bad.
In terms of people we've upset, I'm adding Daily Mail readers to the list.
I want them to be annoying.
Yeah, they should be upset.
Like, it's hard to annoy them. All you have to do is write for the Daily Mail and you annoy them.
You write anything about Britain that suggests it's like maybe not functioning at 100% capacity, and they'll get really irate.
You just write anything about Britain. That's it.
Britain's quite nice. No, it's not. How dare you? It's terrible.
They will find a way to take offence at that and blame it on immigrants.
Or the government's immigration policy, or the youth of today. What are we talking about?
I don't know. We were supposed to be doing the news.
Have I even done all the news?
Way more fun.
Right. Okay. I've got one more news thing here. It's the Dishonored 2 leaks, which were amusingly terrible in terms of them being quite obviously bullshit. That was about it. I just enjoyed that they weren't very good compared to the Survivor 2299 site hoax that ran last year. Yeah, last year that was quite good.
I said this to you before when these leaks came out, but I would love it if these leaks actually turned out to be genuine. If it turned out that the internal Bethesda ZeniMax stuff is actually significantly less good than a man with £100 at bedside.
Yeah, it's possible, I suppose, but I got very suspicious when they leaked to one site, and at that point they were from like this amazing internal. Well, first of all, they were from this internal presentation that the guy hadn't seen. Then they were from an internal presentation that the guy leaking them had seen. And then they were actually not an internal thing. They were E3 press materials, which explained why it had a spelling mistake on. And just by chance, the same leaker had a corrected version that was updated with the correct spelling on it. Yeah, it wasn't great. They also used like the Windows 8 logo to stand in for PC.
Windows 8 exclusive, confirmed.
Yeah, seriously. They had a bunch of stuff about multiplayer that looked a bit suspicious. They had stuff about like annihilate the outsider, which seemed a bit suspicious as a plot. They were hyphenating main character for no particular reason. It was all very suspicious, and using previous art assets from earlier games and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know if it's been officially debunked, but I consider it so because it was pretty shoddy.
I repeat, I would love it if this turned out to be real.
If it turns out to be real, I will recant my article in full. But
while simultaneously slagging off whatever company actually made materials this shoddy.
Yeah, seriously. If your internal materials for a much anticipated sequel look like fakes, then I think something is a bit up.
In fairness, if they are internal materials and aren't meant to be seen by the public, that possibly explains some of it, but not a lot of it.
But they were simultaneously internal materials and press materials for E3.
Yeah,
but
they were
to announce things.
They were internal versions of press materials for E3, which Bethesda don't announce that.
Absolutely.
They were only tests. They still need people to actually spell check them.
Yep. So yeah, Dishonored 2 probably being made, but not related to these materials. Is there any other news around that I missed or forgot or neglected? Or I know there's one bit of news, but I don't want to talk about it.
Probably. Let's have a look at IncGamers.com and see if there's
what
anything.
have you missed, Peter?
I know exactly what he missed, and I don't want to talk about it either.
Oh, Star Citizen reaching 40 million.
Off.
There's nothing else to say other than that, really.
That's it, really. Right, that's done. Good. Check that one off.
Why are people still giving him money?
They want systems. They wanted the 2 star systems that were going to be, I don't know, whatever, man.
He's stopped giving stretch goals at this point. I swear to God, the next stretch goal, the 50 billion one, or whatever the next mark is, that is just going to be Chris Roberts will post a video on YouTube of him laughing into a camera while throwing money in the air.
Yeah. I'd like to see that.
I would like to see
Maybe
that.
I'll give him some money so I can see that. Wait, no, that's not what I want. That's the opposite effect. So is that it? That's it, isn't it?
That's it. It's not been a particularly exciting week, really, has it? Really?
Not jam-packed, no. Not really. So games. Gamey games. For once, I don't know what you've played this week, Tim. But is it... I was either going to come to you first or to come to Paul to talk about Nosgoth. Do you rate Nosgoth?
Well, would you...
I really hurt my throat.
Disturbing. Well done.
I'm only going there because Nosgoth sounds like some sort of Swedish death metal band.
Yeah, it's not an indictment of the game.
No, it's not. So it's Legacy of Kain, basically, multiplayer reboot from Square, and God, you know what? I can't even remember the developer's name. That's really terrible. Considering I've nearly written the preview for it.
The developer is Psyonix.
Psyonix, that's the one. Thank you, Tim. Which is basically an online multiplayer version of humans versus vampires, based in Nosgoth, which was the world, I think, in Legacy of Kain. I didn't play Legacy of Kain, so I wouldn't know these things, so it's all kind of new and fresh for me, which is nice because I have nothing to sort of compare it to or be concerned that it's not got massive single player campaign or anything like that. So right now it's closed beta. It's 4v4. So one group will play the humans, one group will play the vampires, and you don't get to pick which one you're going to play. You basically play the first round as the vampires, and then you switch to the second round as the humans, and then your score as a team is then totaled up. So if you get 10 kills as the vampires and you get 20 kills as the humans, you'll have 30 kills total, and same for the other team, and the team that has the most at the end of it comes through and is the winner of that particular match. It's actually way better than I thought it was going to be. I actually really enjoyed it. For what I've been playing of it last night, it's kind of weird when you kind of know that the game's working, because if you're playing as the humans, you automatically find yourself grouping up as a group without having to say, "Hey, let's all stick together." Because the thing with the vampires is that they have the ability to basically climb buildings. They have the ability to fly, and they can swoop down, pick you up, then drop you from a horrendous height. They can sort of dive down and put an AoE effect on you. So as the humans, you're kind of wandering around this map, kind of looking up, going, "Shit, where are they coming from?" And more often than not, you'll just hear a sort of growl, and you'll be lying on the floor with something over the top of you going like that, while the rest of the teammates around you are panicking, trying to spam all their different special skills that they've got. And then the rest of the vampires come in and help finish you off. So they basically can rejuvenate their health by drinking, taking your blood. But as the humans, there are certain points on the map where you can regen your health and your equipment and so on. So you have a primary and secondary skill. So, for example, if you're playing the what's the Sentinel? I think he is. He's the flying vampire guy. He's got his secondary skill is the sort of pick up, swoop down, and pick the person up and drop them type thing. So each class, if you like, has certain skills, but they also have certain primary skills, but they also have secondary skills. So you can throw down, for example, one that I like is the Alchemist, which you can basically throw down like a potion, and it puts up a big firewall. So if you see stuff coming towards you, you can throw that down, it'll put it up, and you get burnt if you go through it as well. But I found that particularly effective when I was getting killed. I'd try and throw one down, and whoever was on top of me with the firewall go like that. So it's actually pretty good. It's way better than I was expecting it to be. It is free to play. It will be free to play. And kind of with free to play stuff, I'm always a little bit more skeptical at how good it's going to be. But I think the reason it works so well is the fact that the vampires have this ability to use, the height and the sort of the stealthiness that it makes the gameplay a bit more. So it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of like Titanfall, where you're leaping around the buildings and sort of wall running and stuff like that. It's kind of got that same effect where you just don't know where people are because you're having to, look up as well as around corners and in buildings and so on. And it actually looks really nice as well. The maps are a reasonable size. I was playing 2 maps last night, so there's plenty of scope for learning the maps, finding the good advantage points and stuff. I mean, some of the towers, for example, if you're a vampire, are really high, and you can get right on top of them and just look down and see where people are. And if you're like the Sentinel, you can just sort of leap off it and flap about, and then hit your target, and then go in for the kill. So the vampires generally, the gameplay is designed in a way that where you can play more as an individual. But if you're playing as the humans, you generally you want to play as a group and stick together and try and cover each other's back. I really enjoyed it way more than I thought I would last night. And the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it, which is a really good sign. So I'm quite pleased with it actually so far.
Do we have any idea about sort of what the free-to-play stuff is actually going to be? Sort of they're going to lock off classes and maps, or is it cosmetic stuff?
Yeah, it looks like right now there's obviously like stuff like XP boost or so whatever. Because when you play a class, you after the match is over, you get a certain amount of XP, not for your account, but for that class that you've played. So there is stuff like XP boost. It looks like there's some cosmetic items. I didn't delve too much into that because it's not. I always try and play a free-to-play game as if I'm not doing it as press as if I'm like a player. And if I feel that I'm getting crippled by the gameplay because I need to buy this, that, and the next thing, then for me it's not a particularly great free-to-play game. I mean, I think if you look at games like Path of Exile, for example, where all the stuff's cosmetic, and you're not hampered in any way by progressing or enjoying the game, that works really well. It's probably one of the best models there is, as an example. Whereas if you play something like King's Road, you find a chest and then you have to pay to open the chest if you haven't got enough gems. That kind of stuff just like gets on my tits.
Yeah.
So with this, I didn't feel that I was being hampered in any way. I really enjoyed what I played of it last night. Play more again tonight. Definitely worth a look. I would recommend people do check it out. And if you do like I say, Kane, you did like it, then it's even more reason to check it out.
I do like that kind of uneven style multiplayer stuff where, it's not completely one for one in terms of the opponents that you're playing against.
Yeah.
So,
Asymmetric multiplayer.
I mean, I think they've got...
a fancy term, yes.
I mean, the good thing is they've kind of thought about it and they've got round any sort of imbalance that there may be by making you play both sides, in a match. So by totaling up the scores, it kind of... You can't have people going... Oh, I didn't. They're way overpowered. Blah blah blah. Well, no, you're just shit because you couldn't do it as the other side either. So that works
you think
really
they're
well.
Overpowered? Fine, you get like 20 kills as the vampires now.
Yeah,
that's so amazing. You can't.
Having said that, I was absolutely, dare I say it, fucking atrocious at it. And there was like one guy who was just carrying the rest of the team who'd obviously been playing it for a while. He was on like sort of 20 kills and we were on like 2. And we were lucky if that wasn't just some sort of fluke assist that we'd carried out. But not many people playing it right now because it's obviously closed beta, and I don't think there's been that many people let into it. But I'm quite enjoying it.
Good. Tim, what did you play?
I've been trying to play lots of things. There was one thing I dabbled in, which I'm kind of afraid to mention, because if I mention it, I think we'll immediately get like 30 million hits on the podcast.
That's good.
It's a MOBA. It's quite a popular one. It's free to play.
Oh, I know what you're hinting at here, Tim.
Yeah, No, I have played that as well.
It's the other one, isn't it?
The other one. Which, if I mention it, all the Dota people will hate me, and all of the other people will hate me because I also play Dota.
I want to ask you actually, Tim, how different is it from someone who's played a lot of Dota 2? Okay, I'll just say the name, League of Legends, right? I know, which has been around for forever. But I mean, for someone like you who hasn't played League of Legends, how different is it for you as a play style, for example?
It is pretty different. I mean, I haven't played much, so I'm really, really wary of kind of couching it in any sweeping terms just yet. As if it's anything like Dota, it's probably going to be another 50 hours before I've even got the faintest fucking clue of how the games are supposed to go. It seems a bit slower. Like matches, the ones that I've played do seem to drag out a bit longer. I mean, it seems kind of rare for a Dota match to actually hit like 40, 45 minutes. The game is usually over by that point. While with this, most of the ones I've done have gone 50 minutes easily. And, they still carry on for 10, 15, 20 minutes after that. So it does seem like it's a bit slower. There's definitely more of an emphasis on skill shots, which are not automatically targeted abilities, like you actually have to aim them. Like, for instance, if you're throwing a fireball, you don't press the fireball button and then click on the enemy and it hones in on them. You sort of click on the position and it will go to that position. If the enemy is moved, tough. Which is kind of nice, I guess. I can't say anything about the balance. They kind of just rotated in a new load of heroes because there are a certain number of heroes that are free every week. And you have to buy the others, either with sort of the in-game currency you earn from completing matches, or with real money, which is how they make their cash, apparently, which I don't really like, but that's possibly because I'm coming from a game where I have every single hero at my fingertips every single game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's different. I can't really say too much more about it. But yeah, it does feel a bit slower. It's definitely got a different pace. There's a different kind of meta surrounding the game. There are different things you're expected to do at different times of the game. There are little bushes all over the place that you can hide in and leap out on people. Bushes convey invisibility, which I found a little bit odd. But there you go.
It's like Assassin's Creed. They
Yes.
work like that in that as well.
It is. Assassin's Creed ripped off League of Legends.
So what you're saying, Tim, is that it's definitely objectively worse than Dota 2.
Yeah, sure, why not?
And
I did
also
actually,
definitely objectively better.
I did actually. I made a little list of things that I learnt from the game that I played last night. Number one was Lux is fun, and Lux was the hero I tried. Some interesting powers, and number two was fuck Fiddlesticks. Because Fiddlesticks is another one of the heroes. He's not overly dangerous. He's just really goddamn annoying. I was getting genuinely angry at the computer at that
Is
point.
he kind of I can kind of tell from his name, is he a bit of like a tricksy character? A bit of like mischievous? That kind of
Sort
thing?
of.
Or-
He's kind of an ambulatory scarecrow. He's
Okay.
he's sort of like a very cheesy horror movie villain.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just lurks in the bushes and then fucking throws crows at you and.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah,
I know.
I got that
I do
today.
actually now. I do now have this mental image of just this hobo, kind of dressed like a scarecrow with a raggedy hat and long hair, and he just hides in bushes lobbing dead crows at people. That's not really what he is, but that would be an excellent character. So I would like to see that as a future character in a MOBA. Get on it, developers.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be reporting on League of Legends at some point soon, as soon as I feel qualified to talk about it in any sense whatsoever.
I mean, we are kind of like 4 years late to the party, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I'm not expecting to be able to tell people how to play it in a month's time. But I wouldn't mind sort of writing I don't know, maybe a piece for people who want to move from Dota and maybe give League of Legends a try, or just something kind of writing about the differences between the two games, or how difficult it is to move from one to the other, just that sort of thing. But we'll see how it goes.
I was going to say, did you manage to get into the Fairy Princess MMO this week?
What?
Wildstar.
Oh, the Disney princess.
Disney Princess creator.
Now I know what you're talking about.
No. I think I said.
You had a great time trying to get into it. To figure out when the beta sessions are. So.
Yeah, I was trying to work out. It still said server maintenance, and so I sort of tried to go onto the forums to sort of see what the server status was and what the times were like. And I basically had this huge nightmare that ended with me threatening to firebomb their offices.
Excellent.
Yeah,
This is
so
NCSoft, by the way, so add NCSoft to the list of people. And it's not literally a Disney Princess MMO, it is Wildstar, but you can make Disney princesses.
it is totally Disney Princess created the MMO.
Okay, it is a Disney Princess MMO.
That is, I understand, that is honestly my favourite thing about it. And that's not saying anything bad about the game itself. I just really want a game where I can look like a Disney princess.
Well done, we all. We did also learn, you learned quite a bit about what's canon for being a Disney princess as well, because you were trying to name your character after a Disney princess and kept finding people had already done so, and I was kind of suggesting the one from Black Cauldron, whose name I've forgotten, but apparently she's not official because she's too young or something.
Yeah, believe it or not, you have actually, this does take up quite a large part of my preview. There is quite a lot related to Disney princesses in my preview. I think I tweeted at the time some interesting facts I learned about Disney princesses while doing my research.
It's more difficult than you'd think to be like an official one.
They
rule you out for some really weird reasons. They've got quite a stringent criteria.
Yeah, there's all sorts of shit in there. It's like you can't be a Disney princess if your romantic interest is anyone other than a prince, from what I can remember. You have to be in a musical. You can't be an animal. You have to be human. There's
Oh, that's right. Yeah, one of the animal ones was discounted because I can't remember who it was. But yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It should just be bloodline. Like, is your father the king and your mother the queen? Well, then you're a princess, aren't you? That's how it works.
And are you in a Disney film? Then you're a Disney princess.
Yeah.
But no, you're apparently not one of the official. I can't remember. They're what, 13 now?
I don't know.
But yeah, well, it's all very convoluted. They take this princess stuff really seriously.
Well, yeah. I hear
So
it makes them quite a lot of money, so that's
I am probably going to get slapped with a lawsuit as soon as my preview goes. Which will be shortly after I actually manage to get back into the game, whenever that turns out to be.
Just do the preview talking about character creation of Disney princesses. That's really what I'm interested in.
I'm not kidding. I genuinely could do that. I could write a 1,200 word preview with lots of screenshots.
The ins and outs of Disney princess canon.
That sounded crazy, Peter.
What? No, that's not. There's places on the internet you can go if you want to see that kind of thing.
What have you been playing, Peter?
I've been playing quite quickly because it's running close to our usual allotted amount of time. I've been playing Vertiginous Golf, which I described in my preview, and I will do so here again, as the mini golf game that the guards from Dishonored and the people from Bioshock Infinite probably play on their time off.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that to me in a moment, but I was just wondering what vertiginous means.
It means like suffering from vertigo. I had to, or related to vertigo. I had to look that up as well because I wasn't sure.
Okay,
because all the courses take place, much like Bioshock Infinite's Columbia, sort of in the clouds, floating up in the stratosphere. Except not really, because at the start of the game you go into the Vertiginous Golf shop from the rainy street, and you sit down in a chair and you kind of get your brain zapped. So I think it's actually some sort of Oculus Rift virtual stratospheric mini golf. It's quite strange, this game, but it follows through with its premise very, very effectively. So I'm quite pleased about that.
But Peter,
yeah.
Much as it makes sense that vertiginous is relating to vertigo, vertigo doesn't have anything to do with height.
Well,
that's some bullshit started by Alfred Hitchcock. The theory of height is acrophobia.
Vertigo is to do with like balance issues, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It has. I mean, you go through some pretty twisty, turny obstacles, so I figure it can relate to that. I mean, the height surely would have an impact, possibly, on your balance if you were scared of heights, wouldn't it?
Do you also fall over a lot?
Well, no, because you're a sentient golf club when you're up there, so you're just a sort of third-person golf club. So with a little mechanical hummingbird friend who can scout out the course for you. So I mentioned this is quite a strange game, because it's quite a strange game.
Right, since you've got hummingbird friends, is this golf club a Disney princess?
I doubt it, because we know it's quite difficult to be an official Disney princess.
True.
So I would say no, probably.
I would think that having animal friends is a part of it, though, because all the Disney princesses fucking sing with bluebirds.
It's a mechanical animal friend, though, so it doesn't have a soul, probably. So I don't know. Anyway, so these golf courses, then, that are sort of like Bioshock Infinite's Columbia, it's a mini golf game in the clouds. It's got a pretty straightforward kind of power bar mechanic that you might expect from a golf game. You basically just hold down space for the power. You aim, basically using your eye. You kind of just move the camera around, and where you kind of want to aim is the middle of the screen, and then whack the ball in that general direction. And there's a whole load of slightly bizarre obstacles for you to go through, sort of steampunk-inspired, H.G. Wells-esque Taurian teleporters and weird spinning discs and moving platforms and walkways and stuff. And you just basically, as in golf, get your ball to the green and into the flag, and it's quite good fun. Partially because you have quite a lot of freedom, more freedom than I was expecting on the courses. Even if you screw up and find yourself in some weird area on it, you can usually maneuver your way back to a different route to get back to the hole. You'll have quite a few shots to do that, obviously, but yeah, it had a unusual amount of sort of open gameplay to it, which I really rather liked.
Going back to the topic of vertigo, I've just been doing a bit of research. I've discovered that one of the ailments that can cause vertigo is apparently something called labyrinthitis, which is not a fear of David Bowie and tight pants. But apparently is a virus or bacterial thing that attacks the labyrinth in the ear. I just thought that was quite interesting. I didn't know there was something called labyrinthitis, and I'm genuinely sad it has nothing to do with Bowie.
Tim, you remind me of the Babe. The Babe with the power. Anyway,
is it on early access at the moment?
Yes, it is. That's probably a good thing to mention. Thank you, Paul. Not so much Bowie, but more relevant information. Yeah, it's on early access. It's like $15 at the moment. It's pretty polished in terms of mechanics and features and everything. It's lacking in courses. It's only got 9 holes at the moment, so I would strongly imagine that's the thing that they will be iterating and expanding upon while they're in early access.
Are they going to release a course editor for it? Because that'd be quite cool.
Yes, they are. They certainly have. They certainly have plans to do that. They're talking about that on the Steam forum. It's going to have like workshop integration, and yeah, the plan is to distribute it with some kind of editor, which I think would provide decent longevity as well. Yeah,
I've got a genuine, actual question. Not related to Bowie or Vertigo.
Is it about David Bowie?
No, it's about Vertiginous Golf.
Okay.
I'm going to ask, since it's in early access, you and I, we played a fair few early access games. We know that they tend to be very rough. Is this at all polished, or is it still does it still feel very rough at this stage?
No. Yeah.
Is that a pun, Tim? Because that's really shit.
No, it wasn't.
I've done the in the rough pun in my preview already. Yes.
That was one of those. That was one of those moments where I say something and then realise moments later what I just said and feel vaguely disgusted with myself.
Yeah, no.
Sorry,
it's
Peter.
It's pretty polished. I didn't really hit any bugs. I mean, there's people have mentioned a couple of bugs on the forum which I didn't run into. I imagine you possibly could get stuck behind some of the geometry if you were unlucky.
But it's not the sort of game with like half-finished user interface and all
no,
the rest.
No, absolutely not. No, it's pretty fully fledged user interface and all the mechanics are there.
I was going to ask you, have you got like one club, or do you can you select multiple different types?
You have 2. You have a putter and a driver.
Right.
The driver can kind of arc and loop stuff over a greater distance, and the putter obviously is a putter. So it acts like that.
It's basically kind of like the way I'd play golf, where I just can't be arsed to carry a bag around and have 2 clubs, and that would do for everything.
Yeah. It sort of encourages you to use the putter, because if you use that more often, you recharge this sort of secondary power bar, which can allow you to rewind your shots if you're quick enough because you can rewind them, but you've got to have enough power in this thing, and you've got to commit to that before the shot completes. So you've got to be like, wait, I fucked that up. I'm gonna rewind, quick enough. And you can also use that power to add slight sort of aftertouch to your shots as well, for like swerving around things, which is quite cool. What else?
Actually, that sounds quite neat, honestly.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like sort of a world-breaking game, but it sounds like the sort of thing that'd be quite entertaining.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen many. I don't know, there was like EA's Tiger Wolf.
Tiger Wolf.
Was that the Saber Wolf spin-off?
That was Tiger Woods' persona that I was talking about there. Yeah, anyway, not many golf games about is what I'm saying. This one plainly isn't a particularly serious one, but it is quite unusual and entertaining, and I liked that their graphics options had, rather than the usual sort of high ultimate quality. It was like pleasing and splendid for the quality details. So that was quite in keeping with its theme as well.
I've just been reminded of a mini golf game that I used to play a lot back in the 90s for DOS, which was something like Fuzzy's World of Mini Golf or something like that. Does anyone else remember that? It was just this little shareware game. And it was kind of fixed perspective, and you were sort of in space, and the course was just sort of floating there. And it wasn't bad. I seem to recall playing that quite a lot with friends, because I was about 10 at the time and didn't hate absolutely everybody at that point.
This good. This has a lot of scope for multiplayer, both local and online. I don't know if it has online. It definitely has local multiplayer.
Right.
May have online by the time it comes out. I'm not sure, but yeah, a lot of scope for having sort of hot seat multiplayer of look, you picked up your shot again. Good stuff with that.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's quite enjoyable. The preview of that is up. I also did a bit of a preview of Dead State, which is a game in more of an early access state than Vertiginous Golf is, but that's okay, because that's what early access is all about, I suppose. What else has been up recently? The sort of Dishonored debunking article.
Yeah, I think did I review something? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm sure
you did Infinite Crisis, Tim.
Yes.
I reviewed that.
Absolutely.
Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 2.
Yep, I think I trailed that at the end of the last podcast. Also a good Path of Exile.
Yep.
Sacrifice of the Val interview, which I guess is about the expansion, which is now out. Is it out there? I don't know.
Yep.
Anyway.
That's out.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Cool. Well, if you want to know more about it before buying it, then you can go read that. This week we'll have other things up, probably. I don't know what they are yet. I'm looking at a game called Tower of Guns. I might have a review of that up.
Well, we'll probably have something for Nosgoth.
There you go, Nosgoth, yeah.
Yeah, my image is frozen, by the way, so if anyone's watching this and wondering why I'm looking like a complete... I've gone into some catatonic state, that's basically because my image is frozen.
You've gone into a coma and you're talking to us through the power of your mind.
It's my mind!
Holy shit. That's intense.
So yeah, I guess we'll have to do something for Titanfall. I mean, we should. Hopefully, you'll have access tomorrow, Peter, and then we'll.
Yeah, everyone's got review code except me. Bloody EA.
Yeah, EA. Actually, it's not their fault. It is actually completely mine and yours fault.
It was some
accounts. So yeah, hopefully we'll do some. I don't know. We might do something a bit different with that. Maybe do some sort of collaborative effort, seeing as we're all going to do it.
Yeah, we should definitely do a joint review.
Are EA likely to be annoyed with you just fake blaming them then? Should I add them to the list?
No, it wasn't. I can't add them because it wasn't their fault, and they've been very helpful.
Okay.
Have they?
Yeah, they have. They have.
Okay, well, I don't think. In that case, I don't think they'll be particularly annoyed, except maybe with Peter's skepticism. So I'll leave them off the list.
So who have you managed to offend this week then, Tim? Let's have the list, please.
Got publishers, consumers, retailers,
check,
Microsoft,
check,
people who really liked the new Thief,
check,
Daily Mail idiots,
aka even bigger idiots,
NC Soft,
yep,
and this one's sort of in brackets with a maybe, David Bowie.
I don't know. His trousers were pretty tight.
I love Labyrinth and I love David Bowie. I know.
I quite agree, but maybe he was unhappy with the. I don't know how touchy he is. He might have been a bit offended by me, mentioning that labyrinthitis. I'm surprised that it's not a fear of him in tight pants.
I suppose so, yeah.
I've put him in as a maybe because he seems like the sort of guy who wouldn't really mind. He'd probably have a chuckle at that.
So,
just in case.
I'm using some Labyrinth music
basically
at the start of this podcast.
Well, basically the plan is that we have to offend an extra person every week. So at the end of the year, we should basically just be at a big, massive rant of offensiveness.
All right. Well, we're on counting. We're on 7.5 today. Then if we put him in as a half, as a maybe.
I'll start working. I'll start working on next week's.
Okay. Let's face it, publishers, consumers, and retailers, you could probably break that down into significantly larger numbers.
That covers a lot of people.
We'll see.
Keep up to date with who we're going to offend next, you could follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or you could just wait for the next podcast where we'll inevitably be slagging some things off, possibly with good reason, maybe not, who knows. Until then, goodbye.
Bye.